Hey guys, welcome back to Maelstrom Game Studios. I'm Craig, and today we're going to talk about the leaked balanced data slate that came around the internet recently. I don't know if it's true. The community is kind of 50-50 on whether it's true or not, but what it has done is kind of sparked my interest to talk about what could come for the Tyranids, how would, if these changes are true, affect the Tyranids, kind of analyze their state of the meta. Main reason for also doing this is we're going to talk about, like I said, the state of Tyranids in the meta. They normally, at this time of the month, I do a best list of the month. Tyranids did not win or do any significant podium style events or style placings at any tournament in this past month. They have no big wins. RTTs, yes, I know they have a couple top placings. They probably have a ton of them. I've got 2 of them in the past month for RTTs, but those are smaller events where they're not tracked as significant as other things. So either way, we're going to dive into today's video and talk about what we think the Tyranids are going to get. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Maybe have your own fun comments down below. And that, thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you members for supporting us. And let's dive into today's video. One quick thing before we dive into the video, I want to announce that I'm moving or migrating or adding a new site to sell the products here at Maelstrom Game Studios. So originally we had the Etsy store. That is going to be still up there, but I'm kind of redirecting people to my new Shopify account. A couple things went into that. Main overview is that I think in the long run it's going to be better selling here. There's a lot of complications in the early process for setting up, but in the long run, once I get things going, it'll be better. And I think for international shipping, which a lot of you guys constantly are requesting, I think it's going to be easier in the long run. It's not set yet to do international shipping, but I'm hoping things are going to be ironed out soon. So check out the description down, or the link wherever, put description. There's a new one going forward. You can see a screenshot of the nice little website that I made. It's very basic, very bare bones. You guys buy stuff there, it supports us, it allows us to keep doing things there. So we appreciate it. Just want to direct attention to, now it's a Shopify link, not an Etsy store, but that is what it is. So with that, let's get into the current state of Tyranids. Now, I mentioned right off the bat that Tyranids have no wins, no significant results, because, I don't know, they just haven't. Normally we do a best list of the month, but we look through the list, and apologies if we potentially missed one of your lists, but we didn't see anything crazy out there. No huge tournament events, decent placings, but we didn't find anything. So we aren't doing the best list of the month for February because we didn't find one. What we're going to do instead is we're going to talk about the state of Tyranids in the competitive play, and then we'll segue that into the balanced data slate and see if we can kind of see if there are some changes on the horizon for the Tyranids. Overall, Tyranids have a solid performance, which is why it's weird that they don't have any, it's partially weird why they don't have any placings, but you'll see more data as to why. So first off, overall, 51% win rate for Tyranids. That's right in the sweet spot. You like to see that. Invasion Fleet, these detachment breakdowns are done from most played to least played. These games are not including RTTs, just GTs all over the world since the last balanced data slate. You will see Invasion Fleet first, 50% solid. This is by far the most games. It's somewhere around 650 games at GTs were played in Invasion Fleet. The next one, Vanguard Onslaught, I think is around 300. You can see there at 52%. Crusher Stampede, I think, is around 200. They're at 52%. Assimilation Swarm, that 63% win rate. Actually, one of the best attachments in 40k right now. But they only have 100 to 120 games played, if I remember right. So much less played. But the people who are playing it are doing well. I'm actually not. I haven't played Assimilation Swarm at a GT at all since there. So that's not me. That's not my data. This is not from when I did my stretch of GT there. Warrior Bioform Onslaught, 43%. This one I think is under 100. I think it might even be under 75. And Synaptic Nexus, I think, was sitting at about 30 games played at 29% of a win rate. So overall, big 51% win rate. The main top 4 sub-factions, detachments holding us up. The other ones, meh, not doing so well. So you should think with that kind of win rate, they should have a couple event wins or well-placed podiums here. They don't, and that is because of 3 boogeymen right now on the list. Space Marines, with their new crazy buff they have, we have a 45% win rate against them, where I think previously before that, it was like a 55% win rate against that. And I can attest playing multiple games against the new Gilliman superpower whatever stuff they have. It's nasty. The +1 to hit, +1 to wound 2 units. For Tyranids, a lot of our durability is in our toughness. We don't have crazy armor saves or invuln saves or shenanigans for damage reduction or anything like that. We purely just have higher than average toughness, at least on their bigger things. And when Space Marines can just point at 2 units and say, +1 to wound you, makes our big things a lot easier to kill, and with all the rerolls and stuff. So I can definitely see where Space Marines are a significant problem for the meta, right now for Tyranids at least. The next one, Chaos Demons. This is also specifically the Slaanesh Demons, mostly the Slaanesh Demons. Of course, the other detachments are factored into here, and I also agree with that. The Slaanesh Demon stuff, while I have not played it personally, I've recently kind of watched and learned about them, and they are nasty, nasty things that I can see how Tyranids would struggle with, especially things like Shalaxi, who ripped Tyranids apart left and right, no problem. The only way I have ever been able to kill Shalaxi is throwing 12 Tyrant Guard, a Swarm Lord, and a Hive Tyrant all into her 1-on-14 or whatever it is. Shalaxi is a nightmare for Tyranids to deal with. Really tough to kill and shooting. Well, okay, tough to kill and shooting, but once it hits melee, we can't deal with it. So it's a tough one, along with all the other shenanigans we have. And then Eldari. There hasn't been too much data on Eldari, but both pre-Codex and post-Codex, Tyranids have not had the best matchup into it. They were really good at killing our bugs pre-detachment. The Avatar was a nightmare for Tyranids to deal with, again, pre-Codex. Post-Codex, they have a lot of movement shenanigans that make it hard for Tyranids to catch them. They have the ability to go from very little damage, ramp it up to 1,000, and just delete units left and right, which, again, Tyranids, we rely on our durability and our numbers, and if they can have enough damage to just delete things left and right. I'm looking at the Ozerman, who has that 1 turn, 3 damage thing that can just delete a unit of warriors or something just like that. Not good for us. Or even well, it's not as good, the Tyrant Guard, if people are still running those. Ozerman is very good 1 turn into them. Just a ton of shit. And they're really good at scoring secondaries, which is something Tyranids also are good at, is scoring secondaries. So when you go up against an army that is equally good at scoring secondaries and is very good at killing you and competing with primary, that is where Tyranids will struggle. So these 3 factions are the ones we are by far doing the worst against, and I think, segueing this into the Balanced Dataslate, these are probably the 3 factions that are going to be touched in the Balanced Dataslate. Maybe. So speaking of this, the rumors that sparked it, if you haven't seen them, there are some Discord pages that were shared around. These are 2 of them. There was 4 leaks, but these are 2 of them. Don't know if this is true. Take this with tons of salt. It could totally be just someone's wish list. Tough to say, but there's a lot of nerfs that they're mentioned. Some new detachments, nothing for Tyranids. But all of these things essentially just say other armies are getting stuff, Tyranids are being left alone. Part of that sounds true, at least from Tyranids' perspective. I don't intend on them doing too much to us, but the main thing that had said from these is Guard, Eldar, and what was the other one? And Slanesh Demons are going to be nerfed significantly, and Custodes a little bit. Not too much on Tyranids, but from what I can see, that is what I'm hoping for. So I'm calling this more so the silent buff. If these factions get toned down, these are the factions that are more so gatekeeping Tyranids from the top tables right now. We seem to be doing just fine against most armies, except for these ones, who also happen to be pretty popular factions in the competitive scene. Maybe not like, you're not going to see 5 Slanesh Demons, but you're going to see enough of them, and you're going to see enough Guard, and you're going to see enough Eldar where you might have to play both of these armies at one point in a big tournament, and Tyranids really don't have the tools to deal with one. If they have the tools to deal with one, they probably can't deal with the other. So right now, I'm calling this Balanced Dataslate. Again, predictions, I'm calling this a silent buff for the Tyranids. You probably won't see a ton of changes to Tyranids, but if these factions are toned down, I think Tyranids' win rate will climb maybe a % or 2 in the coming meta. Some other things I just want to talk about, maybe predictions. People like predictions. I like predictions. I want to hear your comments. Let me know down below what you think are predictions for the Tyranids in this coming Balanced Dataslate point changes, whatever it's going to end up being. For me, I don't see anywhere where they're going to nerf. The one thing that does stand out is Assimilation Swarm, as it has gone from one of the lowest performing detachments to one of the best performing detachments in 40k, with a significant change nonetheless. So maybe they try and retweak that rule. I know they just gave it to us, so I don't think they're going to do it, because in the grand scheme of 40k, it is not played that much. And yeah, 61% is a high win rate, but 61% on a very low played faction, I don't think they're going to touch it. If they did this, if it's been going on for a year or so, maybe, but right now I think they're going to leave it alone. Some instances for potential buffs. I can't think of a ton without getting really wish listy, but there's 4 units. I'd like to see some point drops. Honestly, 10 points on each of these would be fantastic. And there's 1 unit. So the potential buff, Screamer Killer. Please, GW, just lower the point cost on them. They have really not seen competitive play outside of the occasional use in Invasion Fleet and the occasional use in Vanguard Onslaught, but they need a point decrease. That's it. Their distraction Carnifexes, if they cost a ton of points, there's no point in bringing them. Neurolictor, again, not really seen ever outside of Vanguard Onslaught. I think where they're priced right now at 90 points is way too high for their good but inconsistent rule. So if they could go down to 80 points, where maybe you start seeing one in a list now, put them on par with Death Leaper, I would much appreciate that. I would start including one in my list. At 90 points, it just is not, it's not sold for me. So I'd like to see it decrease. The Toxicrin, GW will probably ignore this unit like they always do. But again, at 145, they're abysmal. They should be in line with the hardest specs, if not cheaper. So bring them down to 125, and maybe you'll see them. Maybe, probably won't, but maybe you'll see them. And then finally, the Sporocyst. Again, GW probably going to ignore this model. I believe it also stands at 145 points. Brought it down to 125. Maybe it'll see play. GW will probably ignore this, but it would be fun to see someone try to use one to have fun with. And finally, I have 1 unit I would like them to make a datasheet change to. Minor change, and they've done this before now. They have precedent for it, so maybe they'll do it. The Hive Guard and its Impaler Cannon is suffering from early Codex Syndrome. It hits on a 4+ and is an indirect weapon. It should be hitting on a 3+. Most of the accurate indirect weapons these days hit on 3s, and then there is the rule for indirect that they can only hit on 4s at best. I think these things should adapt to hitting on 3s, just like they do with their regular shock cannons hit on 3s, and then they have the rule that caps them on hitting on 4s if they're firing indirect. That way you can use the Impaler cannons as a direct fire weapon and an indirect weapon. They're actually really good if they had a better ballistic skill. Combine them with an Exocrine and or a Pyrovore to help boost their damage output, or if you put them in Invasion Fleet, give them sustained hits. They're not a horrible unit at all. It's just that 4+ ballistic skill at all times kind of sucks. So GW, please, you've already made the changes, but if you haven't, or sometime in the future, give my Impaler cannons their ballistic skill 3 back. They've been ballistic skill 3 or ballistic skill 3 equivalent their whole life. Just come on, give it back. Give it back, please. But that's it. That's all my predictions I have. Hopefully you guys enjoy a short little video for you. Hopefully it wasn't too rambly. But let me know what you guys think about the stats of the Tyranids. Anything else you're seeing from going to tournaments? Is there another faction that really just stops you in your tracks and causes you to struggle? Is there something else maybe I'm missing in terms of potential changes to the Tyranids? What are you guys hoping for? Let me know down in the comments. Check out my Shopify store if you want to start purchasing some 3D printed stuff. All good products that people have reviewed. It's a shame the reviews can't carry from Etsy to Shopify. Only downside, but thank you guys. Thank you members very much, and we'll see you next time here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios.